Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Monday night. It is time for Revolutionary Change. I'm Jen Perelman.
I'm Peter Hager, and I hope I look okay, guys.
Oh, my God. The vanity on you. Peter's unhappy. His lighting isn't working great right now. He's having some technical difficulties. It's a little dark, but it's okay. We see you.
I'm not overly concerned with the way I look. That's got nothing to do with it. I just want to make sure that the lighting's okay.
No, I was talking about the lighting. The lighting is fine. It's just a little dark.
I like garlic. It's just a little much. Jen wearing a sweater this evening.
It's just actually it's a gray sweatshirt. It's part of my uniform. It's part of my uniform.
It's part of your getup.
I'm very utilitarian. I'm telling you, I would do really well with a uniform.
You know, I had such a long day today, as you know, but it was productive. And then all of a sudden it kind of like crept up on me that, oh crap, we have a show. And just so you guys know, we're going 2-4 tonight. So you've got us for the next couple hours, and then we will be joining Rothbone this evening at 10 o'clock Eastern time. So mark your calendars. That's
which is late for me.
Yes, understandable. But he is.
And in all fairness, that's only 9 o'clock your time.
That's true, but he's also in Portland, Oregon, so he's starting at 7 o'clock Pacific time.
All right, well, that'll be fun to go on with him.
Yeah, of course, especially in light of everything that's going on right now. I know that there's a lot of crap that obviously we have to address tonight, and there will be plenty of that to do. But I do want to kind of start with what I consider to be somewhat of a positive story.
There's a positive story?
It's a positive story. Colin, please pull up what I just sent you a little while ago.
Colin, if you will, Colin, the positive story.
Yes, the positive story.
You know, Colin, the positive story.
Yes, well, every once in a while we get lucky. And so here's a prime example of what fuck around and find out actually looks like.
Am I going to like this?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
So for those who are not aware of how far back Laura Loomer's bullshit actually goes, it stems back to when I guess she had gotten booted from X. And this was all the way back in, it was like 2020, I want to say, 2021, something like that. And she blamed CAIR. CAIR is the reason that she got booted, and she took them to court. She filed a lawsuit.
What was her wait. What was her claim? What was she claiming that they did?
Well, as CAIR National points out, since 2023, Ms. Loomer has been sending monthly checks to CAIR as the result of a failed lawsuit since she once filed against us in CAIR, Florida. Yes, you read that right. America's loudest anti-Muslim extremist has spent years funding America's largest Muslim civil rights group. Last month, Loomer asked a judge to let her withhold her remaining payments based on Governor DeSantis's unconstitutional proclamation targeting CAIR in Florida. The court just ruled in our favor, ordering Ms. Loomer to finish paying us back. We look forward to receiving Ms. Loomer's next check and, inshallah, once again using her money to defend American Muslims from hate while advancing civil rights for everyone in our nation. Guess how much money she's having to pay CAIR?
So it's been since 23. So what's the total?
$125,000.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice.
So
you're gonna have to suck a lot of dick, Laura, to make that up. Woo!
Oh God! Anybody who wants those.
I'm just saying. I don't know how she's gonna make up that. That's quite a predicament she got herself in there.
And I tell you more.
This is a happy story. This is a very feel good. It's a warm and fuzzy feel good story.
Well, it has to be, because one of the. I mean, we're obviously going to get into it pretty heavily tonight. Oh my God! I mean, now I'm not going to be able to look at Bruce Campbell the same. But Bruce Campbell is definitely he's a great character actor.
The point is, he was made up like that with that. I remember what he looked like in that movie. He didn't look like him. He looked like that.
I don't recall it that well, and you can forgive me.
He was wearing like prosthetic face stuff that made his face look completely plastic, that he'd been over surgeryed. that was the whole premise, is that that's what happens in the future in LA. Everybody looks like this, like over siliconed. And he was, he was the doctor that was doing it to people.
Well, I think I've only seen Escape from LA once. I've obviously,
it wasn't that good. It's
no,
not
at least
good,
not
but that
compared
was
to Escape from New York. There's no comparison. At least
Of
that's
course
what
not.
I was told. But anything with Kurt Russell is probably worth a watch at least one time. So I would definitely, I would definitely advise that for anybody who likes his work, especially John Carpenter. And when the two of them get together, usually it's pretty good stuff. But in the case of Laura Loomer, this is real comeuppance. And the fact that
apparently it's comeuppance that happened a few years ago. The comeuppance happened when she lost her suit. This is merely her trying to avoid the last payment. So, and I'm glad that she lost.
Well, that's the thing. It's the fact that she has been trying to get this thrown out ever since it started, and they have been reaffirming it. And to CAIR's credit, they have kept their mouth shut about it. But the fact that a decree was brought down in court saying, no, you are going to pay all of the money back, and that is that, that looms in the fair enough. I don't know why you put that up there, but you know.
Why I put it up there? Because we've looked at her face long enough.
Oh, okay.
That's what he means.
Yeah, that's probably the most, and honestly, that's probably the most flattering picture that they could find of her. So
she's just so gross.
Yeah, she's pretty gross. But this is what happens when you go too far. And hopefully that is going to be the lesson of what ultimately comes of the Epstein files. That so much of why we have not gotten any resolution to this problem and why they keep kicking the can down the road, I think is pretty simple. It all has to do with Israel. Everything comes back to Israel. And that is why they have not made this a priority for the past, however many years. So when everyone wonders, why isn't that the Democrats didn't drop the Epstein files? What was the main issue here that this never came to pass? To me, it's pretty clear. There is no other explanation to this problem other than the fact that you have the Zionist state that knows that the interpretation of everything that they've been involved in is really messed up. Now, of course, you did want to address a particular story. I don't know if you sent this over to Colin. I know you prefer that I sent it. Okay, so you do believe, let me make sure you don't have it.
Are you talking about St. Luigi?
Well, no, I'm not talking about St. Luigi. I'm actually talking about Trump, and I know that you wanted to address this. So,
the fact that the part of Trump that we talked about regarding the Epstein files, or the Trump that is where the president shot himself in a room full of people and had to.
Well, I know you really want to talk about that.
Early.
You have any interest in that, but yes, apparently Trump loses control of his bodily functions quite often. That's been the rumor for a while, and evidently that's what happened in the Oval Office the other day, where he was giving a presser. He apparently shot himself, and they ended the presser.
He shot himself. You can hear it on the audio. Now, I don't know if us playing it, if they'll be able to hear it, because you do have to, there's a lot of, they're talking as well. So you have to kind of hear it closely, but he shits himself while sitting in his desk. RFK is trying to cover his nose. The people behind him are clearly uncomfortable. And then as soon as they could, they ended it and ushered everybody out as fast as possible. So, I mean, you could do with, think whatever happened, but.
Well, Colin, if you've got that and if you want to pull it up, I think it's, we can start there if you want, but we got our.
The serious stuff about Trump is the stuff that's been released in the Epstein files.
Correct. And I think that's.
That's the serious stuff. Well, that's something.
Yeah.
That I am very, very skeptical that there will ever be justice.
Well, it does.
This is the thing. So,
people. If I will, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche has already come out and say there will be no prosecutions for anything additional in the Epstein files.
Exactly. So it doesn't matter. So we just learned that the president of our country took girls, and I mean girls, not women, girls, young girls, and inserted fingers into their vaginas and rated their level of tightness for sale and sold these girls. So we're just going to sit with that.
Yeah.
And okay, all right, there's not going to be justice and he's not going to be prosecuted.
Again,
that's where we are, people.
One more step towards revolution. That's where we're going. And that's what's happening. Damaging Epstein files of calendar girls. Claim against Trump vanished mysteriously, but screenshots go viral. Recently released documents tied to Jeffrey Epstein have surfaced allegations involving President Donald Trump. The billionaire politician has previously denied having any knowledge of the convicted sex offender's illegal activities while branding the push for the file release as a hoax. However, the newly disclosed records are now being interpreted by some raising questions about Donald Trump's past relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. The alleged private parties were hosted at Trump's Mar-a-Lago. So the new Epstein files production featured numerous allegations made against Trump and others.
This is horrible. Like, this is just...
Keep scrolling, Colin. Damning allegations linking President Trump to Jeffrey Epstein have emerged in recently released files related to the late sex offender. One of the documents claims that Trump hosted private, explicit parties at Mar-a-Lago, his luxury club in Florida, and invited high-profile guests such as tech mogul Elon Musk, some attorneys, and several members of his family. The parties were reportedly called calendar girls.
So they didn't even hide the fact that they were girls. No. That's okay.
The parties were reportedly called calendar girls, seemingly a reference to the alleged involvement of minors who were said to have been provided by Jeffrey Epstein. According to the document, Trump allegedly auctioned these minors to attendees and also had a bizarre method of valuing each of them. He measured the children's vulva and vaginas by entering a finger and rating the child's tightness.
And it specifically says in rated children on tightness.
Just hold in on his image, please.
Now,
how would you not just love to have somebody who looks like that testing you with his fingers?
I don't want anybody testing anybody with their fingers. Okay. Okay. And here's the thing, as annoying as I found how upset people got when he said the grab him by the pussy, and I'm like, well, at least he's saying the quiet part out loud. I was still thinking consenting women. You know what I mean? I was still thinking adults, but we're in a whole new world now. This is a whole new world now.
One other doc alleged that a minor was forced to perform oral sex on the president approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. Again, it's probably true, but who knows? During the alleged sexual meetup, she reportedly bit the president, and he allegedly hit her in the face after she made fun of the bite. At the time, they said the victim was 13 to 14 years old and was likely one of the minors associated with Epstein. As the doc said, that she was also abused by the late sex offender. Snippets of the documents that circulated online sparked intense reactions from netizens, many of whom have been clamoring for the full release of the Epstein files. This is an insanely hard read and absolutely damning and disgusting. All of these people should be rounded up for the world to see today without a second of hesitation. Damning allegations, disgusting filth. Will he say these were made up? Second netizen remarked. Effing horrific Epstein files. Others slammed the documents as damaging and reprehensible while raising concerns about Trump's past relationship with Epstein. Shortly after the files were released and the allegations against Trump were highlighted on social media, the DOJ scrubbed them from its website. Nothing to see here.
Except we have it. We already know it, though.
A similar incident happened in December of 25 after it was confirmed that a photograph featuring Trump was removed from the cache of documents shortly after its release. As reported by The Blast, the picture identified as file EFTA 000468 depicted an open desk drawer containing several photographs. Keep going. One of the images visible was a picture of the U.S. president in the company of several young women, and then a separate photo of the politician with Epstein and his right-hand woman, Ghislaine Maxwell. The latest deletion of files has further caused backlash, with netizens accusing the DOJ of breaking the law. A person noted, those knuckleheads must have forgotten that the internet is forever. By now, there must be screenshots galore. Another asked, why delete unless Bondi, Blanche, and Patel are covering Trump's ass?
But then what? How did it get out? Then why did they release it in the first place? That's what's so weird. So there's got to be somebody on the inside that is putting the information out, even though the rest of them are not wanting it put out. Somebody's doing that. It's not.
Trump has consistently denied any involvement with Epstein, and is likely will maintain that stance regardless of any new documents that are released. Yes, of course he will. Why would he not stop? Hasn't stopped him yet. Meanwhile, in a statement to the press, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche downplayed the contents of the Epstein files. There's a hunger or a thirst for info that I don't think will be satisfied by reviewing any of these documents. He also noted that his agency did not attempt to shield any federal officials from scrutiny if the files linked them to Epstein. However, he did not reveal if any new person will be criminally prosecuted, just like Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. We did not protect President Trump. We didn't protect nor not protect anybody. But you're not going to prosecute anybody either.
It's not. It's just we're in this very, very weird, bizarro world.
Yeah, it's pretty, well, I wouldn't even say it's bizarre. I would say that people just, they're coming to terms with the reality of a lot of the things that we had talked about over the years that were considered sacrosanct or untouchable. Specifically things like Pizzagate, which we had mentioned a time or two, which of course was linked to Hillary Clinton. But let's face it, they're all connected to this stuff, all of it. Did anybody really think that there wasn't child abuse that goes on, that there isn't something really sinister that goes on amongst these people, that they're not damned animals, that they don't do things that are absolutely sadistic, that they don't murder, maim?
Because there's no accountability. Why not? That's
so why not test the waters?
Well, I think that they're just very bored. These are bored people.
Yeah. Well, that's like the argument. Well, again, this is like the argument. Why, why do it? Is it even plausible that Trump has no interest in children? Yes. And why would he do that? Because he can, not because that's his secret fetish. You never, until now you're hearing it. But at the end of the day, again, it's like people get bored and they decide that they want to be involved in this stuff. So that's,
yes, it was done to me as control, domination, and it had more to do with this auctioning off and showing off and using people to show your prowess. Like, that's really what it is. And again, I don't know if that's his kink or not. But regardless, if that stuff is credible, which again, I don't know, I have not authenticated these documents, but this is some sick shit we're dealing with here. We're in a our president auctioned off children and measured their tightness of their vaginas, and we're all just
leave it
to next.
Leave it to friend of the show James Lee to cover what, again, many people would have assumed was a crazy person, but this is the lady claiming, this is a Hispanic lady claiming that, well, you'll see.
Rico Jimenez. She was a Mexican model and disappeared back in 2009. Of course, yet another person disappearing. She was filmed outside of a luxury hotel screaming about how they were eating people. Everyone thought she was crazy. Of course, the woman is crazy, not to be believed. Don't believe the woman. Yes, she was visibly distressed. Wouldn't you be? Making accusations against highly powerful, prominent people in society that they were eating people? That's crazy, right? She's gotta be crazy. This says here, on the yacht, he witnessed babies being dismembered, their intestines removed, and individuals eating the feces from those intestines. I guess they're just gonna call all of us crazy now.
No, you're not crazy. This is just again, this is why when the question of will you take the blue pill or the red pill comes into play, everyone assumes that they would take the red pill. But the fact is most would take the blue because they don't want to know about this stuff. They don't want to be exposed to the reality of the criminal behaviors of the elites of society that
I don't want to know
for the
either.
longest time you wouldn't know about. So when somebody says something like Pizzagate or Spirit Cooking or Seth Rich or any of these stories that are considered untouchable for so long, it's because plausible deniability. One person's connected, everyone's connected, and everyone understands that if you take one down, the whole system collapses on itself. Now, how much of it is true?
Honestly, it's too specific and yet far-fetched to not be true in so many different aspects of this, and which people were named and which combinations of people. And it's not stuff that people would just know and do if it wasn't. So I do believe it. Now, obviously not everything in there is going to be true, but let's say hypothetically just some of it is true. It's enough. It's enough. Honestly, if you're doing shit that could even lend itself to us having the discussion as to whether or not you're eating babies, okay? If you're doing stuff that's even causing us to have that discussion, you're doing shit you ought not be doing. That's all there is to it.
There's a lot of protein in those babies.
Well, it sounds like they ate their shit, but again, it doesn't, like, a lot of stuff will of course get exaggerated and turned into urban legends. But at the end of the day, it's like stereotypes. It's based on reality.
Well, speaking of
based
shit,
on something, there's something there, and it's something pretty vile.
Well, let's try to conclude this on somewhat of a humorous note. Speaking of shit,
are coming up with new opioids faster than the government has been able to keep up. We're going proactive on these new chemicals.
That's great. No, I hear fantastic things. Thank you all very much. We really appreciate it a lot. Thank you, Oz. He's doing a fantastic job. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, please. Thank you.
Mr. President, can you respond to the new Fox poll that says people think ICE's tactics are too aggressive?
I'm seeing RFK like,
and the blonde woman next to him, and I'm not sure who that is. Both of them do that. Now, again, I didn't think people would be able to hear it through our playing it, but guys, if you find a version of this, they're all over the place. You actually can hear him shit his pants.
Yeah, I heard like a little.
Because he's mic'd up, so you wouldn't.
Oh, yeah. She just.
He's mic'd up because he's answering questions, so he's wearing a mic, so you hear it audibly. And look at her. You see her?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, God help us. So obviously, as soon as that happened, the people started hearing and they wanted to ask questions. And you see how fast they rushed everyone out of there? You want to watch it again? Oh, you heard it? Okay, good. So look, a lady heard it.
One more time.
New opioids faster than the government has been able to keep up. We're going proactive on these new chemicals.
That's great. No, I hear fantastic things. Thank you all very much. We really appreciate it a lot. Thank you, Oz. He's doing a fantastic job. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, please. Thank you.
Mr. President, can you respond to the new Fox poll that says people think ICE's tactics are too aggressive?
I mean,
All right, so here's what I think. It sounds
my
like
God.
it sounded like some squishy noise coming from the chair, perhaps. Is it definite that that's what happened again? I don't know. I'm looking at
if
it now.
that were the only instance where that had been suggested about him, you might have cause to be a little bit skeptical. But this is the umpteenth time that I have heard somebody mention the fact that he is not able to control his bowels. and that he has a stinky odor. And there have been other incidences where he's in rooms like this where people have to cover their faces, and you can see people like doing this.
Well,
and King Charles said he had to fumigate the place after Trump left.
Well, the only reason why I would be inclined to agree that he probably did is because of how they are reacting. You see, if there's somebody close by who actually caught a whiff of it and knows that this is not the first time that this has happened and doesn't want it to turn into a big press story, that's why they have to kick them out as fast as possible. We can't let the odor spread. So,
right.
Yeah,
exactly. If there wasn't, if nothing had happened, then they wouldn't have reacted this way. And you could see that it was very unplanned and hurried the way that they ended it. It wasn't supposed to be that way. So why would they have done that? So anyway, yeah, he shot himself, I think, right there in the Oval.
I also want to allude to the fact that Trump is such a man baby, even though we have our opinions about Springsteen and where he's gone politically over the years. But
no, we have more than just opinions about that, Peter. He is totally he is a traitor. He is He has turned on everything he said that he was about. He doesn't even, as far as I'm concerned, it takes away the meaning of his work, including this song, because now you're gonna act, oh, you're all for the people. Why? I didn't see you standing up for the people in Palestine. I don't see you doing anything about that.
To me, that's kind of a dead giveaway. But clearly, he was not very happy with Bruce's protest song. And so the Donald says, I see that highly overrated Bruce Springsteen goes to a foreign country to speak badly about the president of the United States. Never liked him, never liked his music or his radical left politics. And importantly, and he's not a talented guy, just a pushy, obnoxious jerk.
And this is what I wanted to say. If he can't control his bowels, why would he not be wearing a bag? I think he wears diaper.
Yeah, probably.
I also think he's incontinent as well. So I think he wears diapers. So that's why he doesn't need a bag. Anyhow. Sorry.
May I continue, please?
Yes, you may continue.
Who fervently supported crooked Joe Biden, a mentally incompetent fool, and our worst ever president? Who
never shot himself that we saw or heard.
No, he actually admitted again, you're doing it again. He admitted on camera that he did. Who came close to destroying this country. If it wasn't elected, it would have been gone by now. Sleepy Joe didn't have a clue as to what he was doing, but Springsteen is dumb as a rock and couldn't see what was going on.
Why is that in quotes? I don't know what that is. Why does he have that in quotes?
Or could he, which is even worse, this dried out prune.
Also, why in quotes?
His skin is all atrophied.
Oh my God, this coming from the friggin' Cheeto in chief? He's talking about Bruce's skin? Oh, that's rich.
Ought to keep his mouth shut until he gets back into the country. That's just standard fare. Then we'll all see how it goes for him.
He just threatened the boss. All right. Well, you do that. You do that, Donnie.
I think he's just jealous of the relationship that he has with Obama, probably. Probably something to that.
He's honestly, I just think he's just such a narcissistic man baby that he doesn't regard anybody but himself ever. And the only time he compliments anybody is when they're serving him and they're serving his mission or his purposes. Then he's complimentary. If you're not serving him, he's not complimentary to you.
Now, to bring this full circle, and I've been saying that the biggest reason why the Epstein files have been coming out and trickled, and they've not exactly been, fully unredacted. Part of the reason is that this is a direct shot at the Israeli lobby and just Israel in general and Zionist Jews in general. And so why would this have considerable meaning? So when somebody says, well, why didn't the Biden administration release the files? Why did they wait till now? Why wasn't it released under Trump the first time? Why wasn't it released, now in full instead of just covering everything up? For me, I think that when you get right down to it, there are just way too many people that are connected to this infrastructure that has dominated our country for multiple generations. And that's the biggest reason. And Ayud Is that how you say it? Ayud Barak? I don't know.
Ehud Barak.
Ehud Barak. This is from Drop Site News with Ryan Grimm. Ehud Barak was leaving official government service in Israel. He turned to Jeffrey Epstein for guidance. Epstein told him he needed to look at a Peter Thiel company called Palantir.
He thought there was two cyber companies. Look out, and even though I know Peter, I've never met Peter Thiel. And everybody says he sort of jumps around and acts sort of strange, like he's on drugs.
Smoking, yeah.
Yeah.
He looks under drugs.
Well, you would be the first to say that it's not just Thiel, but it's also Alex Karp. That looks like he's wired for sound.
Will you address this fool? Can't deal with me having this like insult at Trump every show, as if somehow we are a show that is about Trump bashing. We're the opposite of that kind of show. You obviously have not been here very long. Peter gives the facts without injecting his feelings. Oh yes, Peter is so humbled and non-biased about how he feels about Trump. I could see how you can make that.
Listen, I'm only telling the truth and nothing but the truth. So help
exactly
me.
Like as if that's what we are. You know how many channels are just all they do is bitch about Trump? I can name like 10.
You know how many channels all they do is suck Trump's balls? I mean,
well, there's that, but then there's that I'm so anti-Trump. I'm not. I'm not anti-Trump. I didn't vote for him. He's not my guy, but I didn't like Kamala, so you know.
Yeah, I don't understand the rationale. I mean, again, this is just an example of why do you defend these elite narcissistic animals?
Also this.
Like,
you know that in
yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
He was one of the people that she accused of raping her.
Yeah, no, there is something to be said for all of the stories that are coming out, for all the things that are coming out. And this is also the problem with how we were going to address this show tonight, because of the fact that there is just so much going on. There are so many different stories related to this. There are so many different directions you could take it if you really want to. That's why I honed in on the Alexander brothers the other night, specifically because I was requested to do it, and I was happy to do it because I think it's a very relevant story. But now all the other stories that are coming out, like about Dershowitz and Clinton going to the same orgies together, the fact that Trump has been accused of doing this to these young girls, the fact that you have Jay-Z has now completely deleted his social media because Kanye West says that he's been raping people forever. In fact, there is a rumor, don't know if it's a rumor or if it's true, that Jay-Z actually was essentially grooming Beyonce from the time she was like 15 years old.
Well, he's a lot older than her, and and he was in the industry when she was coming. That's not that far-fetched.
And that's just one example.
Yeah.
There are plenty of other examples out there. And that's ostensibly what's going on here. So when everyone wants to know why is this such a big deal? Why have they protected Epstein as long as they have? Because at the end of the day, he's Mossad. He's intelligence. That's what he does.
He has a company called Palantir. Pallen. Tier, Palantir.
And he's also illiterate. So let's add
he
that.
doesn't know how to spell the company because there's no E.
Here is Peter Thiel's company. And look out.
Palantir, Palantir?
Yes.
So what Barack is doing in real time, because he already knows about the company. It's amazing how it's like everyone wakes up one day and then discovers that Palantir is actually a thing. But what's so incredible is that Barack actually knows Palantir and in real time spells it correctly back to Epstein without him even realizing.
No, he said it with the E.
No, he said Palantir.
IER. He said it the same.
Palantir?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we added the E. But that's not how he spelled it.
How you write Thiel? Thiel.
Thiel.
Yeah. LLY.
No. Thiell.
Okay.
Now,
Well, look, nobody was ever claiming that Epstein had brains. You know what I mean? He was just a very workable asset.
if you've ever seen Epstein's emails, if you ever looked at how he writes like a 10-year-old. And he spells things abbreviated, incorrect. It turns out, no, he's probably just illiterate. But that's not going to stop somebody from becoming super rich, super powerful, and super influential because he is Mossad. He is connected to Israeli and American intelligence, but as you've often said, they are one and the same. You will not and can never separate the two. That's why they put nincompoops like this guy in charge. And if it's not Epstein, it'll be somebody else. But in the end, sorry, Jen, we're just a bunch of goyim, as they like to reference.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm still trying to understand like where this discussion is going. So Epstein.
So he thought that Peter would put you on the board of Palantir. Peter Thiel is one of the best. I've never met him. He's going to come here next week. So I wanted to talk to him after I talked to you. Okay. He and Andreessen, it's called Andreessen Horowitz. Andreessen Horowitz, that's what they pay Larry $1 million a year. Just to advise them.
Andreas and?
A-N-D-R-E-E.
That's Larry Ellison, by the way, in case you were wondering.
No, I don't think.
S-O-N, Andreessen.
Andreessen. No, it's
just
not
to
Larry Ellison.
Advise them.
Andreas and?
A-N.
Hold on, I know he said.
He and Andreessen, it's called Andreessen Horowitz.
You're not hearing.
Andreessen Horowitz, that's what they pay Larry $1 million a year.
He's saying they paid Larry.
That's who I'm referring to.
Oh, the Larry. I thought you were saying he was saying Larry Ellison.
No, I know what I heard. I'm just saying.
Just to advise them.
Andreas and?
A-N-D-R-E-E-S-O-N, Andreessen, and Horowitz.
And Howard?
H-O-R-O, Horowitz. Horowitz.
Horowitz.
Yeah.
Horror.
What they are? It's a lobbyist. What they are?
They are the biggest venture capital people in Silicon Valley.
What, bigger than Sequoia or Kleiner Perkins?
These are the new Kleiner Perkins. Everybody, these are the smart boys.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why would he make a statement like that?
I don't know.
Makes a statement like that because you have Zioscum like Alex Karp and psychopath Peter Thiel. Well, again, they're both psychopaths. Let's keep it straight. These are the men that were christened by Israeli intelligence. Hence why so much of the funding for defense goes to Palantir. And then you see Alex Karp acting like a psychopath, thinking he's going to ejaculate in his pants every time he hears about Hin Rajab or some innocent child being killed by his weaponry in Gaza. He was christened by this motherfucker. He was christened by Jeffrey Epstein. He's telling him, these are the smart boys. These are the guys who know how to get shit done. Remember, he's been dead for almost 7 years.
Well, but it sounds to me like the whole point of this is they're trying to hook up Barack with a nice cushy board position and just some sort of cash flow.
That may be part of it. Oh. But again, when the connector, the Israel-US connector that is Jeffrey Epstein, is endorsing Palantir of all the companies that he could pick.
Well, it's not a coincidence that it's all connected.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So those two companies right away, in terms of, I said that we need now, in the next 3 weeks, if you're going to leave,
big shout out to Ryan Grimm and the work that is being done over at Drop Site News. You know, Epstein's tentacles run very deep. And we are at the mercy of just how volatile these people truly are. And they are volatile people. But they're losing control. And one of the things that came out over the past few days that I'm sure a lot of you saw regarding the Epstein files dump, which again, when anybody asks, why is it that it took so long for the information to come out in full? It turns out that the biggest holdup isn't about Trump. It's about Israel. It's about Israel and their clandestine operations that run amok through our government and our daily lives. And they've been able to get away with it for generations. And now that it is coming to the surface that they use sex crimes, murder, extortion, violence, rape to keep people in line. Oh, and they cook babies too. They do that, which is not surprising.
Well, did you see that the Guinness Book of Records finally lifted its ban on allowing for records for amount of human harvest? So Israel, who has always prided itself on the largest human skin bank in the world, wonder where they get that, but they just got the record for kidney donations. And one of the things, they are actually known for harvesting the organs of
Now, can you explain what that's all about and why that happens?
Why? What happens?
Why they are the biggest harvesters of human skin?
Well, they have subjects. They use Palestinians. Like that's where they get that from. They have apparently endless supplies of just people to be arresting on rotation and do whatever they do. And we know they torture people. But yeah, no, they've always been prided themselves on how big their skin bank is. But they are now the number one of kidney donor in the world. And you have to really think about why that is.
Well, I was under the illusion that the biggest reason that they had that is because of the fact that they have so much skin cancer problems in Israel.
Well, they do, and that's why they are doing that. But why would they have all of a sudden? But you think that a country that small just happens to have access to the most amount of like available extra skin?
Well, that's like kind of the argument about, human organs and who gets their hands on them, whether it's a heart, whether it's a lung. There's a variety of different reasons why that becomes a problem.
It's a problem, but these are not consensual.
No, I would not.
That is not consensual. And here's the other thing that I find particularly enraging as a Jewish person who was raised knowing that in Judaism, you are not allowed to donate your organs any more than you're allowed to have a tattoo and then still be buried in a Jewish cemetery.
Why are you not allowed to donate your organs?
Well, it's part of it's desecrating the body. Same reason you're not allowed to have tattoos. You're not allowed to alter the body. And so the fact is and years ago, they had changed it so that you could still be buried in a Jewish cemetery. But for a while, it was a matter of, okay, you can do corneas, but you can't do everything else. So, but people would have to get like certain permissions. But at the end of the day, the Torah does not allow for organ donation. And so that would be considered not in accordance with Jewish law. And the fact that the state of Israel that claims to be a state for the Jews prides itself on having the largest bank for organ donation, I find that somewhat ironic.
Well, you have always said that Zionists are not actually Jewish.
No, this is just another example. Absolutely. They're not.
They don't actually practice the faith. And if there's any indication as to just how depraved, these animals truly are, so many of the supposed conspiracies that you heard over the years, remember, conspiracy is typically just something that is called a conspiracy, which is yet to be accepted as fact. And now we see a lot of what these stories that we've heard over the years is actually true. And anytime they tell you that you're crazy, it's because you're telling the truth. That's the kicker. If you're enjoying this conversation so far, which we hope you are, please consider going over to patreon.com/revolutionary change. For as little as $5 a month, you can become a supporter of our small but mighty, yet still growing and suppressed channel. For those that have contributed so far, let's give a big shout out to Tanya S. Thank you very much for becoming a YouTube member. Not to be outdone, Mastermind 29. Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Really appreciate it, my friend. Reality Patterns with the €2. Substack of Hattie for Real Greater Israel Story.
Substack of Hattie. It must be somebody, an author Substack for
Yeah,
the Real
listen,
Greater Israel Story.
We always recommend that if you have any recommendations for our channel, always send any referrals over to admin@revolutionarychangenow.com. We are always interested in taking on new story ideas, covering key topics. More than happy to cover that as needed. Kenman with the 279 Canadian A. Totally agree with Jenny about Springsteen. I didn't realize you were Jenny now, Jen. You gotta admire.
I don't normally go by Jenny, but that's kind of sweet. So
Jenny Craig, 1-800. I'm sorry. That's the first thing that popped in my head. I also could think of Jenny, you know.
No, I think of weirdly I think of Jenny from the Block, and I'm not even a J-Lo.
That's what I was going to say too, but I want to say that because I can't stand J-Lo.
I know, but that's what I think of. But it's okay.
And Sean Rockers TV with the $5. Imagine if a press member smelt it and flat out went, "You're only kicking us out because he shat himself." We'd probably have a field day with that.
It would be glorious. And granted, that person would never get invited back into the White House, so they'd have to be, you know, but
that worse than that.
That would be so much fun.
Well, Jenny's not actually from Brooklyn.
Bronx.
She's from the Bronx, and you're from, well, you're from.
I'm from North Miami Beach. We'll just leave it like that.
Where all the Zios hang out, unfortunately. So we'll see if our esteemed guest will be joining us in a moment. But yeah, this is an evolving story, and we will have a lot more to cover. Do you know who our guest is for Thursday?
Hold on. Do you? Are you asking me like hypothetically?
I am asking you hypothetically because I am actually going to be somewhere I've never been before on Thursday when we go live. I will actually be in San Francisco for the first time in my life.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, apparently Eric Warsaw is who we're talking with.
Eric, yes, that'll be great. So Eric is definitely somebody who's been covering.
Why are you going out to California? What's up there?
Super Bowl weekend.
Are you going to the Super Bowl?
I don't know yet. That is not likely, but I'm going there. I have some business meetings that I'm going to. There might be an opportunity, but I would say of all the reasons that I'm going, the biggest reason is I'm going to go out to Yosemite National Park and go on a big hike.
It's going to be very cold.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I can handle the cold. I mean, I am from New Jersey.
All right, but so you still realize though that doesn't change the time of our show, just if you're in a different time zone, right?
4 p.m. Pacific time.
I am East Coast. I am an Eastern Daylight Time elitist.
Yes, I understand that. But then again, most of us East Coasters are elitist about time.
I am.
That doesn't
everything
change.
is East Coast time. I
well, when I go out there, I can't get adjusted, so I just stay on whatever time zone I'm on. And I know that when I was in Ireland, that was obviously a much more difficult thing to do. But one of the reasons why I wasn't completely thrown off is that the night that I went back home, I did not get really any sleep. So I actually was able to get several hours on the plane, and that kind of caught me up. So I was not fully thrown off on the time zone shakeup. So that's something that actually worked out.
All right. So when are you going to California?
So I leave on Thursday morning, and I am back late. Well, this is the tough part. I'm actually taking a red eye. So I get back. Yeah, I have to leave late Sunday night, and then I arrive, I think at like 8 o'clock in the morning, my time, on Monday.
In
Pensacola. No, actually in Destin. So kind of lucked out with that, which is always good because that's.
I didn't realize Destin had an airport.
Yeah, it does. Destin Fort Walton Beach Airport, and it's actually pretty good. You know, it's kind of like the Palm Beach Airport in a way. It's small, convenient, gets you.
That's how Fort Lauderdale used to be. That's how I used to always feel about Fort Lauderdale. It was always better than Miami. It's still better than Miami.
I don't know if Colin has sent in a ticket to StreamYard, but the fact that the chat stops and then comes and goes and all that, and then it gets caught up.
It just keeps freezing in StreamYard. I don't know. I have it on my phone so that I could follow.
Well, hopefully the conversation is entertaining. Rach, is everything good with Mr. Bowman coming on? I know it's a few minutes after, so just want to make sure if we have to move forward.
Obviously, he said he received his link and that he was ready to go.
Okay.
So that's what he said to her earlier.
Okay.
That's all we can. That's all we can do.
Well, I don't want to jump into anything if he's going to be here in a minute. That's the only reason I'm asking. But it is. Yeah. I mean, if you want to send him a quick message, that would be good.
Give him a few minutes.
Give him a few minutes. Okay.
That's what she says. Give him a few minutes.
All right. So, in case you think that the tide is not turning against Netanyahu Milikowski, this is from earlier today. Now, again, this is one person fighting this is a mouse fighting a guerrilla army, but this is what happened earlier today.
שלום לנוכל, נוכל, נוכל גדול, נוכלי ישראל. גדול נוכלי ישראל, גדול נוכלי ישראל. תוציא את כולם.
Like
they're chanting because he brought his entourage. Netanyahu brought his entourage. These are people that who knows why, but they're cheering for him.
Well, the thing I find interesting is that you have kind of like the Jarrell amongst the Kryptonians, basically saying, our end is imminent. We're in big trouble here. And everyone's around him saying, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Everything is fine. He's king of Israel. He's great people.
Right.
And this guy's saying, no, not really. I know you
think. What's his problem with him? Not that he's a war criminal, not that he's committing a Holocaust. The reason that they're angry in Israel about Netanyahu has to do with corruption charges. And by the way, corruption charges that by US standards would be so de minimis, nobody would even go after somebody for it. It's not even, it's like $100,000 or something like that. I mean, our president's making billions of profit off of this thing. I mean, Netanyahu stole or whatever the story is, but it's like 6 figures, and that's what they're going after him for. They don't care that he's a war criminal. That's not the issue. Oh no, they don't mind that. As long as he doesn't steal the money. That's what they're concerned about. Peter, I'm going to take this down because you left, and quite honestly, I don't need to look at this. I don't know where you went, but yeah. All right. Well, we don't need to, I mean, do we need to finish this? You left like mid-video, so.
Sometimes you can hold it down for just a minute.
Oh, right, but don't leave this yeah, but I wouldn't leave that up. So I don't know if you want to finish this or what you're doing.
Well, I was just going to say that I think that it's just like I said, what really stood out to me about this particular clip is that you have these people that are there celebrating Netanyahu, and you have the one guy in the crowd who's basically like trying to talk some sense into them, saying, yeah, the walls are closing in on us, in case you haven't noticed. And they're all screaming at him to basically shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. And they're all clapping, and they're all pointing, and they're all
he brought his cheerleaders. Right. Are you done with this clip though? I want to address something that's been talked about in the chat because I see them confused about the monkeys, and our guest is here. So I'm going to quickly address the monkeys.
Sure.
There are 3 different species of monkeys that live in Florida right now. 3. There's the vervet monkeys, which live down in the Dania Beach area. There's the rhesus monkeys, and that's RHESUS, rhesus monkeys, that are somewhere else on the west coast of Florida. And then now up in the Springs area, they have spider monkeys. So Florida now has 3 different species of monkeys.
Is that good or bad?
Well, they're not native. I mean, they're not an indigenous species here. So even though, yeah, that's cool and people like it when they're kayaking through the Springs and they see the monkeys and everything, like, yeah, that's really cool. But I don't think it's good for our ecosystems to have invasive species that aren't meant to be here. So it's
kind
not
of like with the iguanas getting frozen and everyone's upset that they were being removed. They're an invasive species. But
no, we're not.
Know that.
Yeah, we're not going to worry about the iguanas. We're not going to worry about them. So anyway, how we got monkeys in Florida, there's a few different ways, not organically. The ones in Dania were part of a little circus zoo many, many years ago. And then when the zoo closed down, they just released the monkeys. And so they were there. And I mean, there've been, but it's all human interference. It's all been human interference because they're not meant to be here. But yes, now there are 3 thriving species of monkeys in Florida.
Don't monkey around in Florida, as Governor DeSantis once said. The story of the USS Liberty is a story that is directly connected to what we have been talking about and will continue to talk about until the state of Israel is no more. The USS Liberty is the only maritime attack in the history of the United States that was not met with any form of retaliation. In fact, it was met with full-on capitulation. And we all know why it happened. But to hear about it, you only listen to those that have actually experienced it. Much like my opinion has always been when it comes to war and peace. Unless you're willing to put on that uniform and die for this country, your opinion doesn't mean squat to me. I'll tell you whose opinion does matter. Survivor of the USS Liberty, Larry Bowen, welcome to Revolutionary Change.
Hi.
You are on mute, Mr. Bowen. Let's see how well a boomer tech-savvy gentleman can be. Colin, if you can assist if necessary.
Double check there's a gear at the bottom of the window for your settings, and you can click on that, and then click audio to make sure your correct mic is selected, is the most common. Assuming it's not muted on, I don't know if your headset itself has a mute button.
That's a good question.
That's a good question. You're so smart, Colin.
Smarter than us when it comes to this stuff.
Calmer than you, dude. Calmer than you.
What did I do?
Still don't hear. So
he just doesn't get it now.
I'm not sure if you're able to check that gear at the bottom for the settings, and then click audio. And there'll be a little drop down, and just make sure it has your headset selected.
Integrated mic versus external. I would, Dominic, but I'm in an Airbnb. It's unfortunate. So I'd have to
on the right side of the window, there's a private chat if you need to type anything if you have any questions.
Let's see what we can figure out what's going on. Zizu says to try it without the headset.
That's probably
you could try unplugging your headset and see if that helps.
We'll do whatever we can.
We have our own tech issues. We empathize. We understand how that goes. It's all right.
Now it says mute. Now it says mute on your end, Larry.
Yeah. So now
down below there's an X through your mic on StreamYard, so just click that to unmute.
Can I do it?
No, not a. Oh, it says their mic isn't connected.
Exactly. It says it's not connected.
Now is it connected?
There you go. Hi.
I used to be techie when I was in the Navy.
I'm sure, you know what? It changes so often. It changes so fast. I think, and it doesn't always change for the better anymore. And it just changed for the cheaper and more replaceable so that you have to keep buying more and more crap. Like that's the stuff is made so that you have to keep getting more crap.
Considering how much has changed since, being born in the 1940s, it's like, could you imagine how much things have evolved in such an interesting way, to say the least? But you figured it out, and that's what matters.
All right, we're all set.
All right.
Mr. Bowen, first and foremost, thank you for your service. I think it goes without saying that the memory of this fateful day, June 8th, 1967, is one that often has been brushed aside for many, many years. But credit to a lot of people out there. We are very low on the totem pole. We cannot take any credit for it. We're just happy to play a small role in bringing more attention to this story. We have had the privilege and pleasure of speaking with two of your colleagues, and you are here now to share your story about the experience of being on the USS Liberty the day that Israel attacked, and what the world has kind of reacted to that story as of late, because it seemed for many years that very little was being done. But it seems that today it's becoming a lot more of a important fixture in how we break away from this Israel stranglehold. So what was that experience like for you? How to take us back to what that day was like and where things are today?
Okay, the day for me started at about 6 o'clock in the morning. When I got up, took a shower, went to chow, and then I had a day watch. And I was a CTR 2, which was a communications technician radioman, second class at the time, 21 years old. And my day watch consisted of me setting a position in our radio research spaces where everything was classified. We were copying international Morse code and sending that information over to our processing and reporting center, where they would, analyze it and report back to NSA, National Security Agency, and other high-ranking officials back in Washington, depending on the nature of the communications. At about 11:30 a.m. on the 8th, my buddy Robert Eisenberg and I went to chow. And on the way to chow, Bob told me that what I was copying was very important, and that he wanted me to keep copying it when I got back after chow. He said that there was reference to a target, and that the communications indicated that there was going to be, something to happen to that target, a large scale event, but they didn't say who or what the target was. And as far as I know, for the remainder of the day, when I got back there, they still didn't reference the USS Liberty as a target. They just referred to it as a target. So at about 12:30, the skipper called for a general quarters drill, and that basically gets the entire ship's crew on the alert. We go out and we practice any number of scenarios. This was a chemical warfare attack. So everybody went through their drill, and as a matter of course, when I leave my day watch to go to my general quarters station, I actually move one deck up and go into another room, setting a position, doing the same thing that I was doing down below, but I'm just one deck above. The GQ drill lasted for about 45 minutes to an hour. And then we secured from that. And of course, I was down below, so I didn't see all these guys that were up topside, sunbathing and taking in the sights. But I heard about it afterwards. But at 2 p.m. local time, the jets came in, strafing the ship, rockets, and 50 caliber machine gun fire. Then after the strafing and the rocket hits, the napalm planes came in, dropped napalm on the bridge, and we had firefighters out there fighting the fires, and they were machine gunning the firefighters. So the ship was pretty well riddled. We had 821 rocket holes topside and over 5,000 armor piercing 50 caliber machine gun shells that riddled the ship. After that, the 3 torpedo boats came out, and they strafed us, sent rockets in, and launched 5 torpedoes at the ship. Fortunately for us, only 1 torpedo hit, but it hit right in the center of our communications area, killing 25 sailors immediately. 1 civilian, 2 Marines, and 22 sailors. And it started flooding the ship. When the torpedo hit, it was deafening. I mean, the explosion just burst a lot of fellows' eardrums. I've had tinnitus, I guess, since then. Initially, it was just, I couldn't hear. It sounded like I was listening in a drum or something. So that lasted for about an hour or hour and a half before I got my hearing back. But after the torpedo hit, Clyde Way and myself left the area that we were in. We went down 1 level to the area where Radio Research 1 was located. I'm sorry, right above Radio Research 1. Radio Research 1 was part of the flooded compartments, our comm center, our maintenance center, our processing and reporting center, our linguist, and all of the R branchers that were copying code. That entire area was blown to bits from the torpedo. But we had dogged down the hatch before, when they sounded general quarters. Then not the drill, the actual attack. And so we had to undog the hatch so that we could let the survivors out. I went to the entrance to our classified spaces and handed out life jackets to the survivors as they came through. Some of them were, mangled pretty good, bleeding. All of them were wet. The water kept rising in the flooded compartments down there. We thought we had everybody out, and we yelled in to see if there was anyone else there. If they couldn't speak, they could pound on, a pipe or something so that we could come in and get them. And no one responded when we dogged down the hatch. I understand later 2 other sailors, Phil Turney and Rick Amidi, went in and opened up the hatch again, and that's when Marine Sergeant Bryce Lockwood pulled out Harold 6. So those two apparently were still in there. Bryce had gone in to save, see if he could save anybody. And he ended up getting a Silver Star for that. But after the attack, we had to triage, 174 wounded. We had to take care of the 34 that were killed. There were actually 9 outside the compartment of spaces, so there were 9 that were being taken care of and put in the freezer until we got some aid. The aid didn't come until 18 hours later. 6th Fleet finally came to our rescue, or helped salvage us a little bit. Apparently on the day of the attack, that shortly after they got our SOS, they scrambled jets to come to our aid. Those jets were recalled by Robert McNamara the first time, and then the skipper of the 6th Fleet from the USS America reconfigured his aircraft, and so did Tully on the Saratoga, and they sent out another group of jets to come to our aid. And McNamara got on the phone to recall them again, and Admiral Geis said that he wanted it from higher authority. That's when LBJ got on the phone and says, I don't care if, for a few sailors that go to the bottom of the sea or the ship, I'm not going to embarrass our ally. I've always wondered since then, how did Johnson know that we were under attack by the Israelis? Because we were there. We didn't know. The planes that were doing the strafing and the napalm were all blackened aircraft. They had no nationality markings or anything like that. If we'd have been topside when the torpedo boats came into the area, we would have seen the Star of David flags that they were flying. Now, I was one of my secondary or general quarters stations. I was outside getting some fresh air, and Jeff Carpenter, a first class petty officer, came back and he says, Bowen, go back to the fantail and be the phone talker. Our original phone talker, Larry Weaver, had gotten injured and he was down on the mess decks. So I went out to the fantail and I could see the 3 torpedo boats back on the horizon. They weren't doing anything. They were just, stationary out there. And then I saw the wakes of those 3 torpedo boats, meaning that they were headed back in our direction. And the skipper, I passed that word to the bridge. The skipper came on the internal communication system, 1MC, and said, prepare for second torpedo attack. I knew that if we took another torpedo attack, that we're done, all of us, because the ship was already listing at 9 degrees. We had a 20 by 40 foot hole in our starboard side from the first torpedo that hit. We never would have survived a second torpedo attack. The torpedo boats did come up. I could see the Star of David flag, and I thought, well, these were coming to our rescue. No, that wasn't the case. They were actually the culprits. They were the ones that had been doing all the attacking. But like I said, I was down below spaces, so I didn't see any of that, prior to my going back to the fantail. They didn't launch any more torpedoes. I don't know if they fired on us or not. I mean, I was nerd wise. I don't know what was happening there. Part of what was happening got blackened out from my memory. I was told by, a psychiatrist that's normal when you go through something like that. I'm still suffering from PTSD. And so a lot of it, this is therapeutic for me to be able to talk about it and get the truth out about what actually happened that day. And that's one of our USS Liberty, Veterans Association goals, is to eventually have a full and impartial investigation into what actually happened that day, why it happened, and who all was involved from our government as well as the Israeli government. I think we believe that we were a pawn in that little chess game. Mm-hmm. We were set up, and we were the sacrificial lamb. And fortunately for us, we were able to keep the ship afloat, and we were able to get an SOS out. Had neither of those things happened, we wouldn't be talking today.
Larry, one of the lasting memories, I think, especially when you consider what the intention of the attack on the USS Liberty was supposed to be. It was supposed to be the Gulf of Tonkin 2.0 and more or less expand the war in Southeast Asia to now into West Asia, whatever reasons those were. That aside, we live in a country that is extremely pro-troops, pro-military in general. But this seems to be the line that can't be crossed. The acknowledgement alone is something that no one wants to address. And the fact of the matter is, you and your shipmates are all heroes. You managed to withstand this completely blindsided attack. And on top of everything else, if there's anything that we can do to continue to bring attention to it, and if there is, as you alluded to, if this is therapy in any way where you can share your story and we can help spread it, then that is our job. You're, like I said, the courage it takes to serve our country, especially during wartime, is extremely courageous. Your country turning its back on you, I wouldn't even say our country. I would just say, again, there has to be a distinction between our government, our leadership, versus our country. I think there is a definite distinction there. Because the country has rallied in many ways behind this story. And I've always felt that the USS Liberty story is a key to unlocking the control that Israel has had over our country for, well, what is it, 78 years now? So one has to ask themselves, how much longer is this going to continue? And I think with everything that's going on now, there is an opening, a chance that perhaps this relationship is disintegrating to the point where maybe major change can happen. After all these years that you have tried to fight for justice with you and your shipmates, how do you see it standing today? Do you feel that we are closer to a breakthrough than maybe ever before?
No. I mean, we've talked with senators and congressmen and the president. We've sent letters. We've tried to get on mainstream media, but none of the major networks will even talk about the USS Liberty. It's still a very, very controversial subject. And we're getting more visibility through podcasts. We're getting, when Phil Turney talked with Candace Owens, that really went out to a wide audience. And, Phil was right on the mark. He told him exactly what happened. He was topside, so he saw a lot of that action. And so he's a good spokesman that we have. But what we're trying to do is honor the 34 fallen crew members. Nothing has ever been done for them. There's been no.
You mean murdered? You mean murdered?
Oh yeah, they were murdered.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like you say fallen, it's like, nah, things can happen. This isn't that. This isn't, there's, things happen when it gets scary and there's collateral damage, like things. No, they were just murdered.
Yes, you're right. And for those 34, we would like to, eventually get some honor for them, some public recognition for the heroes that they are. I mean, they gave their life for the country. And
I have a question. If you have, how soon after everything happened did you all realize that it was intentional and that it was Israel? Like, when did that start to sink in?
I think it evolved over time. It wasn't immediate. I mean, when I saw the 3 torpedo boats coming back for the second attack, that's when I knew that it was Israel, and so probably later that evening or the next day. But then when the Sixth Fleet got there, I mean, they immediately placed a gag order on us. We had, Admiral Kidd came on board and told us to never talk about it to anyone, press, family, friends. You couldn't speak of it, or we would be fined or imprisoned. And so, I was still working for the National Security Agency, and I stayed in the Navy for 21 years, and then I worked for 22 years as a defense contractor, still supporting the National Security Agency. So I didn't say anything about the Liberty for 50 years.
What changed? What changed? Like, what made you decide you were going to talk about it?
My buddy, Ron Kukl, who's recently deceased, called me and asked me why I wasn't actively involved with the Liberty Veterans Association. And I told him that, I'd been working up until 2008 and I needed to support my family. So I needed my clearances, and I never said a word to anyone. But, I was retired then. I still have, restrictions on what I can and can't say, but it's been, like I said earlier, therapeutic for me to be able to talk about it and, meet with other survivors and just kind of reminisce about what happened, what they went through, what I'm going through. And, it's a brotherhood. And so Ron was.
You all had different but similar stories, right? Like everybody was at a different angle and a different perspective at the same time. So that being able to bring those stories together really can paint a bigger picture, right? Like it's like if you were able to watch it after the fact at the same time and see what everybody was seeing at the same moment. And it's and I also would just like to share with you, which I did with Phil as well, like my level of rage about this is so off the charts. Like I find this so unbelievably infuriating. Like it's enraging to me. And I don't know how and more people do not get this information, but it's off the wall. This whole thing is off the wall.
Yeah, Jen, we were abandoned by our government, by leadership. And, I've never been able to understand that, when they recalled the jets, that was an act of treason. I mean, they were really, Johnson and McNamara, of course. We tried to interview McNamara one time, and he says, "I'm not going to talk about the Liberty. I don't remember anything." I mean, he was responsible. So,
kind of like when they talk about RFK and JFK. Sorry, I don't remember.
Yep.
And I also think that in lieu of everything that's happening right now, our channel was We did this as more of a novelty in the early going. We just wanted to connect with people and, tell, important stories. And after October 7th, 2023, it became almost like a mission for the two of us to not allow, it was basically, that was the end of the line with Israel, to say, we will do whatever we can with the platform we have to bring as much attention to this genocidal, psychopathic state that has a complete control, a systemic control over our government. And unfortunately, it's a money and power game, of which they have plenty, but they don't have everything. But what they do have is an obvious puppet fleet of representatives in both major political parties that will get out there, even in light of the fact that we all know why the Epstein files were delayed and delayed and delayed. It had nothing. I mean, did it have something to do with Trump? Perhaps. But in reality, what it really had to do with was protecting Israel. That is the reason why they did everything in their power to not allow these things to be revealed. And now they're being revealed. And even in spite of that, here is the leading senator in the Democratic Party this weekend.
Wait, before you get to that, I just want to answer a question, because we normally save super chats, but I want to do this before Larry leaves. Okay. So yes, because I don't want to miss it. So one of our chat members wants to know about the two shadow subs, the Amberjack and the other, and what happened with those.
There was a committee, the 303 committee, that had a plan to send a submarine through the Red Sea, and that submarine, I don't know if it was the Amberjack or some other submarine, was certainly in the Western Mediterranean or Eastern Mediterranean when we were attacked. The submarine crew, like us, had a gag order issued. They haven't talked about it. If you ask them whether or not they were there, they'll deny it. And, we had at least one sailor that told us at a reunion that he saw the periscope. He knew that there was a sub out there. Never was identified. The Amberjack name has come up, but the skipper was interviewed and he said no. And we've talked with a couple of crew members and they said no. So they've got the same gag order that we had, except that, our story, did actually hit the papers for a little while, about a week, I think. And then it got, hushed up and taken out of the press. So, but I don't really have any other information on the submarines.
Okay. I just wanted to ask, because we get, especially if somebody gets a super chat. Okay, Peter, go back into Chuck Schumer. I just didn't want to get off of that and then have it be Larry be gone and not be able to ask.
No, of course. But this is a reflection of where our government is today and why the USS Liberty continues to be put in the shadows for as long as it has. But we're doing everything we can to change it. This is Senate Minority Leader Schumer over the weekend after the Epstein files major dump once again.
To Israel, all the aid that Israel needs. I will continue to fight for it. And we delivered more security assistance to Israel, our ally, under my leadership than ever before. We will keep doing that, everybody. It is so important to give Israel what it needs and to protect itself from the many in that difficult region who want to wipe Israel off the face of the map. We have to do everything to do that. We have to do everything to ensure that the delicate ceasefire secured last year paves the way to lasting peace.
How many times has that ceasefire been broken?
Well, I stopped counting at 1,200, and that was maybe like a couple weeks ago.
And every time somebody like Schumer speaks, I can only imagine how much this gets under your skin. And what's even more interesting, Larry, that I'm sure you've noticed over the years, because I've certainly noticed it. There's a lot less leadership in government that have served in the military. And
Bone spurs, Peter. He has bone spurs.
Oh, bone spurs? Yeah, that's everybody's excuse.
I'm just saying, bone spurs.
I often feel that if you have not served, and that's why, for many flaws that he did have, the last true commander in chief that we had that actually served in the armed forces was Bush 1, and he was somebody who understood what would have happened if we expanded a regional war in the Gulf back in 1991, which so many of members of the Pentagon wanted him to do, but he didn't do it. And then when he got Georgie Boy in there a decade later, they knew that they could get away with something like that. And I'm always cognizant of people like Schumer, those that do not serve this country, but are so ready, willing, and able to send people off to die. We see it today, especially with somebody like Lil Ben Shapiro, who is maybe
Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, well, especially for Israel, those are their biggest mouthpieces. And the common theme amongst these so-called men, they're really children, is that they never in a million years would put on a uniform to defend this country and die for that cause. They always expect somebody else to go and do it. And that's something that has always bothered me a great deal. And I am assuming over the last almost 80 years that you have observed this evolution of our government.
Did you say evolution? Larry, I'm going to share a new graphic with you. It's a little premature, but I think you'll find it funny. This is the story of de-evolution, history of President's Day in the United States. That's coming up soon, guys. Just a little heads up. I'm sorry, I thought you might find that amusing. I just heard you say evolution. Just putting that out there.
Does it surprise you, and does it anger you? Because again, as you mentioned, the PTSD. Does it anger you? Because it does seem to me that the government hasn't evolved; it has devolved. It's actually gotten worse.
Yeah, it's I mean, I've never had any real strong feelings for the way our leadership, Congress and senators and White House, cater to the Israelis. Personal feeling is that they don't understand that Israel is only in it for themselves. We were a false flag type event as far as they were concerned. They were going to kill everybody on board, sink the ship, and we were blaming it on Egypt or some other Arab nation because Israel was our ally. So there was it was another Gulf of Tonkin. You said, phase 2 or number 2, and it clearly was just that. But as far as how it's evolved in our government, I guess I really haven't been keeping touch with that too much. I mean, I've got very strong feelings about what was going on back in 1967. But other than that, my focus has been on the Liberty.
What can we do going forward? We've asked this of our 2 previous USS Liberty guests. We ask you, what can we do to continue to bring attention to this critical story and make sure that justice is done for those that have departed and for those that are still with us?
Keep bringing on survivors to interview, different perspectives. Send people to our ussliberty.org website because they can get the whole story there. They can see the trailer for Sacrificing Liberty. That's a 4-part docuseries that several of my shipmates and I did when down in Florida back in 23, I think, might have been 22. But we told the story of what happened. It's a 4-hour docuseries, 4 different DVDs, but it's worth viewing if people are interested in finding out about the USS Liberty. There's a number of books out there on the Liberty, but certainly bringing your viewers and listeners into mainstream USS Liberty story. We're ultimately would love to have a congressional investigation where they brought us survivors in front of Congress to tell the story, give them the truth. It wasn't a mistaken identity. It was absolutely a deliberate attack. And, what was published back in 1967 is based on falsehoods. It's not the truth. We survivors know exactly what happened. We're not sure why exactly, other than the fact that Johnson wanted to go in and nuke, Cairo, and he had U.S. assets deployed and ready to do that if we had been sunk. So, I mean, the fact that we stayed afloat probably resulted in stopping what could have been World War III, because the United States would have gotten involved and attacked Egypt. And of course, who knows what the Soviets would have done then, because they were supporting Egypt. Of course, their aircraft were all destroyed on the first day of the 6-Day War. But
it is quite remarkable that there wasn't some type of a nuclear war. And again, it wasn't just, what happened in Cuba. It's so many layers to all these different operations that they were attempting to do. And, the Cold War, look back on it now, I mean, to me, it's just a reflection of what really hasn't changed, which is the Pentagon is a money-making machine. It's pretty much all
a money-wasting machine.
Well, yes, but it makes a lot of money for defense contractors.
Larry, I want to ask you something, though. Would you be willing to come back? Would you be willing to come back sometime?
Sure.
Okay, so this is funny that Jimmy Zimzan is asking us if we could ever get a panel of survivors in June closer to actual day. And what's interesting is that Rachel and I were talking about doing a panel of survivors for Memorial Day in May. So I thought that would actually be really cool. So guys, apparently the people in the chat like this idea.
Yes.
Good. Yeah.
Let's do that.
Don't make it too close to June 8th, because we'll have our ship's reunion.
No, I think Memorial Day, and I think we would do it with another couple of panels of other things that have been covered up, like kind of focus on, because, unfortunately, the USS Liberty is not the only thing where people have been betrayed by this government and have been gaslit and things have been covered up. So I was thinking we might use it as an opportunity to discuss a couple things.
Yeah, no, I just keep doing what you're doing and, getting the word out. And when people ask about, whether or not it was mistaken identity or, survivors are going to tell you the truth. It was a deliberate attack. And in fact, the National Security Agency and some of their assets actually had voice transcripts of the pilots to their ground controller, where the pilots, said, "I see the flag. It's an American ship." And they were told to attack anyway. Of course, now NSA can't find those tapes anywhere, but we survivors, got that word from people that were out there actually intercepting that. So, we know the truth. We know what happened. And we know that it was deliberate. So nobody's going to convince me otherwise.
No.
Well, as long as we have our channel and we are able to spread this word, we will keep doing it on your behalf, on your colleagues' behalf, and may the justice for the USS Liberty one day be realized. And we can't thank you enough for coming on this evening, Larry. Guys, please make sure you go to ussliberty.org. Check out not only Larry's work, but the entire organization's work. We definitely look forward to having you back. I think a Memorial Day panel specifically for the USS Liberty is definitely a good idea. So let's plan for that. Let's keep in touch. And thank you again for all that you do, Larry. It was a pleasure having you on this evening.
Well, thank you, Peter and Jen. I appreciate it. And willing to do it anytime.
Thank you. It was so nice to meet you. Yeah, we'll definitely have you back for a show. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I'm sorry I interrupted. I got so excited when I saw that Jimmy Zimzan was reading my mind about the Survivor panel. I'm sorry, because literally Rachel and I were just talking about that. Like, we got to do we got to get all of them together. And yeah, sorry.
There's a reason why we constantly talk about the impact that Israel has had on this country. There is a reason also why so many of these stories will continue to appear before us that we will have to address. But perhaps one of the most important stories that's transpiring right now that we are going to continue to keep a very close eye on and advocate for is the support of this new and better form of social media involvement, which is Upscrolled. Now, Upscrolled, as you know, was created by an Aussie Palestinian. And
That's such an interesting combination, by the way.
Yes. And needless to say, the Zio Brigade is none too happy about this, but their copium is as bad as the Epstein files. It's pretty hilarious, actually, when you think about it.
In town, and unfortunately, it comes in the form of an app called Upscrolled. And at first glance, it seems like a new social media platform, but in reality, it's a breeding ground for anti-Semitism.
Oh my God, it's a breeding ground for anti-Semitism.
Amazing.
Oh my goodness.
But look
Gird
at that.
your loins, people. It's a breeding ground.
But look at that. Look at how high up the ladder it already is. Number
But
2.
and honestly, what is more important to me, and yes, I'm glad to see Upscroll doing well, because whatever, I don't care. Again, it's not my thing. I am more excited to watch TikTok plummet. See, that's where it's at. So everybody needs to be deleting that app off of their phone as soon as possible. That's the key. That's the key thing.
Today, it's the #2 most popular app on Apple, so we need to pay attention. Upscrolled was created by Issam Hijazi, a Jordanian, Palestinian, Australian technologist who created the app to fight the silencing of pro-Palestinian voices in other places.
Who is this horsey-faced cunt?
Okay, so I'm going to remind you all who she is. But the reason I paused it here, can you not read the smugness coming off of this woman?
Oh, she's this one. No, the condescension is deep with this one. This is some like Zio Karen shit.
Okay, so her name is Samantha. I've seen her before. It's the first time we're covering her. Samantha Edis. And
sweetheart, it's
she
just not
she refers to herself as best-selling author, speaker, TV contributor, Substack, Harvard MBA, mom of 3 kids, and the Jews letter is what she apparently, I guess, is her Substack. This lady lives in Beverly Hills, California. So once again, proving what we have been saying all along is that this is a class war, nothing more. Only somebody who is a desperate housewife living in a $5 to $10 million home in Beverly Hills could possibly be so bothered by the idea that people don't like her because she's...
Well, not that. She's bothered by the idea that there are people that are saying things that she doesn't agree with and other people are listening. How dare they listen to something else? But yeah, our friend in New York is correct, David Hunter. You got to let this play or I'm going to lose my shit.
Because they've been silenced, apparently. Yet what's happening inside the app is much darker. I downloaded it so you don't have to. Take a look at what I saw just from scrolling for a minute. Protest Israel's president.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for promoting Upscrolled. I appreciate that.
Jewish exceptionalism. Jews control us.
Hold on.
So basically what this lady has had to look outside of her little Jewish bubble, and she has to look outside of it for the first time. And it's like, there's a whole new world and all these people, and they don't like us. And well, they must be wrong. And so we have to make them stop it. They don't like us. Like, that's how ridiculous this woman is. It's like, she's finally realizing, you mean not everybody is a Zio? Oh my God.
And I have to say, coming from Upscrolled, this is a perfect capture of Schmutzy saying, how dare you say we have the power to ruin your life? For saying that, we will now use our power to ruin your life. If that's not true, I don't know what is.
Jews control us. Jeffrey Epstein. What do they do to Kanye to make him apologize? Trump's kippah. Says Islam forbid being kind to Jews. Jews rape.
That's a fact.
Where's the lie?
There is no lie.
Where's the lie?
There's no lie. But I'd rather it not say Jews rape kids. I'd rather it say Israelis or Zionists rape kids because, Israelis provide a sanctuary,
safe haven for rapists
and pederasses. So if you're going to be protecting pederasses and being like the nation state of the pederass, then yeah, we're going to say that you rape kids.
Jews rape.
Exactly.
While running to the platform to get away from the grip of Zionists. Now let's be clear. This is not just another app. This is a weapon disguised as a social media platform.
A weapon. It's a weapon. You mean real communication and truth. Facts and truth are a very inconvenient weapon to be used against you.
So, Zio Karen,
sanctimonious cunt, horseface bitch.
What would you like to do about it? What would you like to do?
Why do all these women have horsey faces? Why do they all have horsey faces?
Oh, what's funny is that they're always told how beautiful they are only amongst their own. But that's the world that they live in. You see, the funny thing about a woman like that is that they're so neurotic, but on top of that, they really are convinced that they're like the most beautiful people walking the earth.
Well, you know what? Her eyebrows she could use a little help.
I don't even think about that shit. What I know is I'm looking at a scumbag of a human. Scumbag of a human. And what this woman is known to do is she harasses people in restaurants. She goes, again, a person who, as you like to say, never properly had her ass kicked.
Never has been put in her place. No, never been put in her place. Her life has been just a series of cushiony privilege and happy rainbows and unicorns. And this is making her uncomfortable to think that there's this whole world that doesn't like her. So she just doesn't know what to do with that. She just doesn't go back into your little Beverly Hills house.
You really have to be living in a bubble of immense proportions to think that this behavior is normal. I mean, again, I can't even tell at this point if it really is just this complete disconnect from reality, or if they're coming to terms with the fact that they are never going to have the same control over this country anymore.
Yeah, they're losing it. They're losing it. They're like grasping at everything they can get their hands on.
Well, whatever they're trying to grasp at, they're not doing a very good job because they really can't sell this. They're really bad at it, which is to our advantage. It's kind of like I joke when I cover Charlie Kirk and I talk about Erica Kirk and how she can't sell the lie. She's a terrible actress. She's a terrible liar. Well, this woman is a terrible actress and a terrible liar. So if you think what you're doing is convincing people that, Upscrolled anti-Jewish, anti-Zionist. Again, we knew that they would do this, but it's not doing a very good job of convincing people not to use the application. In fact, if anything, it's having the opposite intended effect. If anybody like her says that don't go to Upscrolled, you're almost tempted to go there by that reason alone. Well, if she's saying it's terrible, it's probably got at least worth a look. That's
you know that for sure. If somebody tells me not to do something, I'm going to do it at least a couple of times.
That's for sure.
And I will do it in front of them. That's the thing. It's not just I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it so you could see me do it. Tell me what to do.
We're here's hoping this Karen scumbag who is known to abuse people.
Zarin.
Well, let's hope this
Karen is Zarin. I saw somebody.
Let's hope this Zarin ends up seeing this and maybe has an epiphany.
Well, what's her account? Like, let's put it out there so people can.
Yes, Samantha Edis. That's actually
Samantha Edis.
Yeah.
Samantha Edis. You're a supremacist.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be, must be, shall be free. And it will be at your expense, lady. Speaking of expense and recognizing why we have to bring an end to this broken Zios state. Well, we are a broken state because of the Zios, I should say. Colin, if you could grab me.
We're a broken state because capitalism has run amok. The oligarchs have taken over. People are greedy as fuck. And Zionists have capitalized on all of it. But you're not going to blame Zionism for the implosion of empire. This is imploding anyway. The fact that we're going to be fortunate enough to take the Zios state with us on our way out, that's a bonus.
Yeah, I would agree. Now, as I said, tonight was kind of a convoluted night in terms of stories because everything has basically been a hodgepodge of the Epstein files, and it seems to be the only real topic of conversation. But I've often said that what you really want to do is you want to dig in on where the core problem is here and why this is such a big deal. And of course, everything gets back to Israel. And here's why. For our friend Ali Zatiri, understanding the impact of Israeli Mossad ran Epstein to blackmail Americans for Israel's wars and billions in aid. So starting in 1991, Robert Maxwell dies, Mossad linked. Did you know that they gave him a state funeral in Israel when he died?
I did know that.
92, Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell first connect. 98, buys Little St. James Island, Pederast Island. 2000s, Mossad honeypot traps pedos in the U.S. elites. 23 to 15, 2013 to 15. 25 million Rothschild deal. I wasn't aware of that. 2019, suicided. And then 2026, 3 million plus pages released. So what's it all about? What's this all about? Colin? 91, Robert Maxwell, Mossad-linked media mogul Ghislaine Maxwell's father dies. Maxwell was buried in Israel with state honors, attended by former prime ministers. He stole pensions, sold secrets, and ran ops for Mossad, including arms deals and blackmail setups. His death cleared the way for his daughter to inherit his shadowy network. He also was responsible for a lot of our scholastic textbooks in public schools.
Yes, McGraw-Hill. McGraw-Hill Publishing was him.
Maxwell's Mossad ties. Israeli intel Ari Ben Menashe says he was a key asset handling tech theft, arms trafficking, and compromat blackmail material. They've set the stage for Epstein, a broke financier suddenly swimming in billions with no clear source. We know of one of them in Ohio, and that is Leslie Wexner. It was inheritance of a blackmail empire. Epstein links with Ghislaine Maxwell and enters elite power circles. Fresh off her father's death, Ghislaine introduces Epstein to VIPs, Clintons, royals, tech moguls. They co-found Terramar Project later, but early on, building the honeypot trap. Ghislaine's role, recruit the girls, handler of elites. Victim Maria Farmer says Epstein's op was a Jewish supremacist ring tied to mega group pro-Israel billionaire Lex Wexner. Wexner gave Epstein his New York mansion for $1 wired for cameras everywhere. Blackmail Central. They did a great SVU episode about Les Wexner / Epstein, if you guys remember. That was a great episode, by the way.
Yes.
1998 buys Little St. James Blackmail Island for $7.95 million. Renamed Pedo Island by locals. Not by the media.
For them. How lucky for
media. Not by the media.
No.
Not by sleuths, by the locals that live there. Said this was Pedo Island.
Oh, I'm sure that the island people were just so happy to have this happening in their midst. That's what they want.
Hidden cameras, underground tunnels, temple-like structure. Guests: Bill Gates, Prince Andrew, Donald Trump. I don't know why I keep saying
Ehud.
Hey, dude. Ex-Israeli Prime Minister. Epstein Rothschild ties. Now, this is interesting. 2026. Ariane de Rothschild, CEO of the Edmund Group, signed a $25 million deal with Epstein's company in 2015 for financial risk software. Emails between 2010 and 2016 show talks about Ukraine after the 2014 coup and business opportunities.
Okay, and by the way, let's remember who was in office at that time. Was it?
That's a great noticing, but you can't talk about it because that would get me in a lot of trouble.
Right. So I just want to remind people that this situation
is a bipartisan agreement.
It's they all agree on how to screw us. So yeah.
She also visited Epstein's island, or visited Epstein after his conviction, of course. Island ops, underage girls flown in via the Lolita Express, filmed disgusting, compromising acts. Ex-victim Virginia Giuffre, rest in peace, said they'd blackmail politicians with 14-year-old girls. 2000s, Mossad honeypot traps pedo U.S. elites, targets politicians. Clinton flew 26 times. Trump, Obama. That's interesting. Didn't know Obama's involved in this too. Saint Obama might not be such a clean as a whistle guy after all. Prince Andrew, billionaires. Gates donated $2+ million to MIT via Epstein. By the way,
I guess that still wasn't enough, Bill, so that you could get a way to secretly medicate your wife with antibiotics because of the disease you picked up from screwing underage girls on the island.
Isn't it amazing what the rich and powerful will do to fuck over the whole world if they get caught doing something really?
What did I tell you when Melinda Gates left him? Do you remember?
Oh, she contracted something from him.
Well, no, I said this has to do with Epstein.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I said, whatever is going on, this has to do with Epstein. And Gates is so, honestly. Ugh.
Yeah, if you told me the most salacious, disgusting, sexual deviant behavior out of anybody of these, of the people, with minus Dershowitz, I would say that Bill Gates, he looks like the type of person that is a deeply depraved individual.
Oh.
Like he'd be into just about any sick, sadistic thing you could think of. Scientists, Stephen Hawking visited the island. That's disturbing.
It's all disturbing. It's disturbing to me that Noam Chomsky was on the plane with Epstein. I mean, that is setting a lot of people off, you know?
Blackmail mechanics. Recording acts with hidden cams, island, New York City mansion, Palm Beach, store on DVDs and servers using blackmail for favors, for example, force pro-Israel policies. Endless aid, 3.8 billion with a B per year to Israel. Blind eye to settlements. Senseless, unnecessary wars.
We just let them do whatever they want because everybody is being blackmailed.
Iraq 2003 pushed WMD lies. I always wondered why they wanted Netanyahu to have any opinion in Congress about going into war with Iraq. Who in the fuck is he to voice his opinion?
Well, I've been asking that for years, but apparently he's enough for the president to pull the chair out for him. So
let me rub your ass while we're at it. Epstein's net allegedly snared influencers. Netanyahu lied about WMDs. Yeah, a lot of people died as a result. Syria, Epstein-Barak plotted Assad removal per 2026 docs, fueling proxy wars Israel wanted. Okay. Is that Ehud Barak, or was that
Yes.
Barack Obama? Okay.
No, it's Ehud Barak. It's not Barack Obama.
Result, U.S. spends trillions, loses lives, while Israel gains weakened foes. Funding, blackmail boosts AIPAC influence. Compromised polls vote yes on aid bills. Post 9/11 Patriot Act expanded surveillance. Epstein's op thrived in that shadow. Israel gets advanced weapons tech, often via Epstein brokered deals like cyber firms. 2008, sweetheart plea deal protects 2008. Jeffrey Epstein got a very light plea deal despite many victims. It protected helpers like Ghislaine Maxwell. Epstein flees to Israel briefly, 13 months with work release. Mossad poll. Maybe Hawking was looking for a black hole. Epstein advises Barack on
You don't get it, do you?
I do get it. Okay. With Rothschilds, sells cyber weapons to leaders, laundering Mossad tech. Epstein deepens Israel ties. 2026 files. Emails tie him to UAE Israel back channel. Compromat. Blackmail on Emers for Abraham Accords. 2019, Epstein arrested. Police found cash, passports, and valuables. He died in jail. Died.
But why is this guy writing like a novel on X? Like, I don't understand what all these posts are. Like, I don't understand who this, like, why.
Chronologically explaining the story of why the Epstein files are such a big deal and why this is all connected to Israel Mossad. Okay. He died in jail. Officials ruled it a suicide. Cameras failed. Guards were asleep. Full exposure, risk naming. Mossad handlers blackmailed elites. Really suicided or fled to Israel and stayed undercover. That's your theory.
Nothing would surprise me.
The cover-up. Media downplays Mossad angle, but 2026 files contradict. Yoni Koren, an Israeli spy, stayed at Epstein's apartment for weeks. Blackmail tapes still hidden. 2026, 3 million plus pages unsealed. Epstein Files Act. According to the DOJ, it met obligations. And over 6 million pages possible, meaning half, may still remain hidden. Redactions, 180,000 images, 2,000 videos. Still no arrests. Criminals still walking free. Reveals Epstein's Israel channel for Syria war, depose Assad, pressured Obama on Iran, all for Israel's colonial project via U.S. blood money, and blackmail forced selfless acts, senators voting against constituents for Israel aid. This was a systemic foreign influence, Mossad honeypot, compromised democracy for endless Middle East chaos. Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, Libya, and potentially Iran war, all benefiting Israel, paid by U.S. taxpayers. And there you have it. And this is why we must break the Zio state. I don't care what you believe. I don't care what you think. If you are not America first, meaning Israel last or Israel no more, then as far as I'm concerned, you're an enemy of America. And that's how every one of them should be treated. Like that Samantha dumbass complaining about Upscrolled, line them all up, because to me, they're all criminals, all of them. They all benefit from the detriment that the average American has to live through every day. You really think that these scumbags that live high on the hog want to see this country have single-payer health care, want to have a stable currency, have universal education, trade schools, clean air and water, no more war, clean environment?
Funny you should say healthcare, though.
They get healthcare, we don't. To end the Zio state will take a collective movement amongst all people, especially from the working class. That is our fight. May it be so. And may we conclude this evening with a quick story on a real working class hero. Luigi Mangione will not face the death penalty if convicted, judge rules.
So for people who have been following this, his attorney, is it Agnefello, whatever? It's like two names. I forget her name. It's like, she's like Italian Jewish. But she's giving a master class in pretrial motions. Apparently she's won every one of her pretrial motions. And what she is doing is slowly but surely chipping away at the case that the prosecutors would have by suppressing all different types of evidence. And this was just one more step in that process. And this particular hearing, they ruled that the death penalty was not on the table, which I knew. And I said, if we went back to our show when they first said that, I said, they're never going to be able to do that because New York doesn't have the death penalty. And the federal charges won't stick enough that it won't apply for the death penalty. So do you want me to read it?
If you dare.
I will. Luigi Mangione, the man accused of gunning down United Healthcare chief executive Brian Thompson, will not face the death penalty if convicted, a court has ruled. U.S. District Judge Margaret Garnett dismissed the federal firearms charges against the 27-year-old that carried the possibility of capital punishment. He will still face stalking charges, which can bring a maximum sentence of life in prison. Mangione was arrested days after he allegedly shot Thompson as the health insurance firm CEO walked into New York City hotel on December 4th, 2024. He has pleaded not guilty to all federal and state charges. And just, we've talked about this since this happened. But not only she's doing better than I even thought. And I still will stand that you're not going to find 12 people to convict him. You just won't.
I concur.
You won't. After the ruling, Mangione's attorney, Karen Agnifilo, thanked the court for this incredible decision, according to BBC's partner, CBS News. We're all very relieved, she said. We're prepared and have been prepared to fight this case, and we look forward to fighting this case. In her ruling, the judge, an appointee of former U.S. President Joe Biden, said 2 of the 4 federal charges did not meet the federal statutory definition of a crime of violence as a matter of law. She noted that her decision was solely to foreclose the death penalty as an available punishment to be considered by the jury. Garnett's ruling was a setback for the Justice Department, which had called Thompson's murder a premeditated, cold-blooded assassination. The judge has given the government 30 days to challenge her decision to rule out the death penalty in the case. They won't be able to. They won't be able to because they're not going to be able to get a death penalty in this case. In a win for prosecutors, Garnett said they could present evidence to the jury from Mangione's backpack that he had at the time of his arrest at the McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Among the items in the bag were a gun, fake IDs, and a notebook with writings that allegedly detailed Mangione's grievances against the U.S. healthcare system. Defense attorneys had sought to dismiss that evidence from trial, arguing authorities obtained it illegally without a warrant, which they did. Mangione, an Ivy League graduate from a wealthy Maryland family, is also facing 9 charges in a separate case brought by New York State prosecutors, including second-degree murder. Thompson, a 50-year-old, I don't care about him. Investigators say the words deny, defend, and depose were written on the shell casings found at the scene of Thompson's murder. Law enforcement sources say this may have been a reference to the 3 Ds of insurance. You think? That may be connected? Jury selection in the federal trial is due to begin on September 8th, with opening statements due to start on October 13th. This will never happen on time. I'm giving all of you the heads up. Never going to happen on time. There will be delays. This is not going to go smoothly, and it is not going to happen on time.
How could they? Well, hold on a minute. Why is the trial delayed all the way to September?
They haven't even. What are you talking about? They haven't even started jury selection. Like they still have. Because she's brilliant. That's why she still has pretrial motions. She's still doing all sorts of stuff. By the time this goes to trial, the prosecutors will be left holding very little.
Yeah.
Well, maybe, but again, I don't want him to take a deal. She probably wouldn't recommend that he takes a deal because, again, I don't think they're going to have a jury find him guilty. This is a jury nullification problem, the likes of which we have never seen publicly anyway. So, because again, I don't see how they're going to find 12 people that haven't had serious problems with the state of healthcare in this nation. Good luck. Or 12 people that haven't had nightmare insurance stories, or 12 people that don't secretly support what happened. There's no way you can find 12 people.
I want every one of the people that support this channel, especially that watch my solo show on Saturdays, to remember we do not reference Tyler Robinson by name. We only reference him by Patsy.
We call him the Patsy. We don't need to get, because there's no need to reinforce that name in history or that narrative. It's sort of like we're catching the Lee Harvey Oswald thing before it spreads. Stop that. He is not the person. That's not the person.
Nope. I'll continue.
Okay.
But state prosecutors are seeking to try Mangione as soon as July. In a separate incident, a Minnesota man was arrested on Wednesday for allegedly impersonating an FBI agent in an attempt to free Mangione from the Brooklyn jail he is being held in.
Telling you.
The suspect, Mark Anderson, was carrying a barbecue fork and pizza cutter, prosecutors say.
How was he going to do that?
You're going to cover your way out of the
now being held at the same facility as Mangione. Good, because that actually sounds like someone that should be held for a little while for his own safety. But yeah, Luigi he's a cult hero, and he will be one, and they will not. I agree. I saw somebody in the chat say time served, which is what I've actually said to Peter earlier. Like, they're not going to be, by the time this is over, he'll get credit for time served, and that'll end up being that.
I still want to know who the son of a bitch was that turned him in. That apparently
they know it was the person at Wendy's. And what happened was the person who called the number called the local police instead of the FBI hotline. And because they did that, they didn't get the money. And so they then not only became like they had to quit the job at Wendy's because everyone knew who they were. So, and then they didn't get the money because of how they did it, which is, you know, to me, I'm sorry, but that's sort of like just desserts.
Oh, absolutely.
Friggin' stoolie. Like, what the hell is that?
No, it was I'm pretty sure it was a Wendy's. Or was it a McDonald's?
Wendy's.
I think it was no, it might have been a McDonald's. I think Meddy's right. I think it was McDonald's. But it was
Wendy's was the Patsy. She's right. McDonald's was Luigi was in a McDonald's. But whoever it was, the person at the McDonald's who called just totally got screwed. No, she didn't get the money. And she didn't get the money because she didn't call the tip line. She called the local police department. So in theory, they came out and handled it. And there was no tip to the FBI line that was giving the money. So she didn't get the money, and she lost her job.
So it was a woman who did it. Interesting.
It was a woman at McDonald's.
Well,
how did we not? We all knew this. I mean, I remember when it happened, they had said that, and that's how I know.
For some reason, I didn't recall that. I don't know why I didn't recall.
Yeah, she didn't get the money, and there was a whole thing about that. Like, there were people that were laughing about that, and then there were the people saying she should get the money because she still turned him in, even though not to the source. But she was stupid and she didn't call the number that was giving the money. If
Far as
there's
I'm
two
concerned,
different groups of people and one is offering money and one isn't, and you call the people not offering the money, then you're not getting the money.
Yeah, I also want to be very clear that unless it's somebody like a Zio scumbag like Samantha Edis, the idea that you are a McDonald's employee and you're going to turn in somebody like that.
She might have gotten a GoFundMe. I don't know, but I know there were people that felt bad for her that she didn't get the reward and lost her job. I don't. She should go get fucked. I don't feel bad for her at all.
Just as Lila says, class traitor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Justice.
Absolutely. Of all the times, this is when you mind your business.
Yeah.
Mind your business. Make your fries.
Knowing the same, and considering this was almost a week in, like people knew who was shot, who did it, what was the reason, and you still fucking turned them in?
Exactly.
And
so I didn't feel bad for her at all. I didn't feel bad for her at all.
You work for a company that purposely pays you shit wage on top of the fact that they poison the shit out of their food.
Oh, Mehdi, I don't think they fired her. I think she ended up quitting because she was getting so many threats because people knew who she was.
Yeah.
That's what I think happened. I don't think that they fired her. I think she basically was constructively evicted by outing herself. Like, I think that's what it was.
Don't ever eat at McDonald's. How much I can
also,
say.
to be fair, why was he sitting in a public place? You know what? I don't know that any of that is so, to be honest with you. That's the story we've all been told. None of us were there. So I really don't know. There's a lot of variables here. And why
Listen,
he was in a public place,
I'm going to say this much. Even though I don't eat fast food, it's the morning, you're hungry, you got to eat something. He maybe hadn't eaten in a while. He's got a few bucks he wants to spend. Have you ever had an Egg McMuffin from McDonald's with a side of hash browns and a cup of orange juice or coffee? Yeah, I can certainly understand the temptation to go in there and get that, even though I wouldn't, but I understand why a lot of people might, even Luigi Mangione. That said, justice will be done in the long run.
For him, I actually do see that it will end up in a justice scenario. He'll end up getting time served.
May it be so. For the last time this evening, one more time, we want to thank you all for being here with us this evening. We do have a little bit of sad news, unfortunately. Our good friend Rothbone has texted me that he had something come up, so we will not be going on this evening, but we will be going on.
Don't threaten me with a good time, wash my face, and climb into bed early.
Yeah, really. But maybe next Monday, we will be aiming for that. But one more
And you know what? I'll run his campaign. Peter and I'll run his campaign.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I could work with that guy.
You probably could win, too. Especially in New York. Oh, yeah.
Okay, first of all, let's be clear. We as a society, we love criminals. We love criminals. We elect them.
It's not just that we love criminals. We love criminals that get away with it.
No, we like criminals that are wealthy criminals. Our crimes that we punish are crimes of poverty usually. Rich people can do whatever they want. Sackler family bought their way out of criminal liability. So, wealthy people don't ever really have to pay for crimes. That's how it works. And for those of you who did miss our fun weekend of Mission Abolition, I would highly recommend check it out. We had a really good, did you watch it at all or no?
I watched some of it. I couldn't get into all of it, but
I know. But guys, I would highly recommend. We did have 3 amazing panels on Saturday, especially that last one. I don't know if you watched the last panel with, it was Mona Lisa and 3 other women. I don't know if you saw it. It was the coolest thing ever. It was like these 4, it was like in a brain trust coming together. Like you saw all the little wheels spinning and now they're all going to get connected. And so it's just like black girl magic multiplied by 4. It was like this glorious thing to behold.
Your moms, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. I like your moms. You're pretty good people. Jim Taleb, thank you for the $5 super sticker as always. Marvin Vargas with the $1.99. I think you meant Larry's opinion of Trump. Well, his opinion is I'm the greatest president in the history of the country. That's his opinion. Let's give a shout out to David Todd. It's been a while. Thank you for the $9.99. Luigi Mangione is not the person in Hostile. The photo is retouched. Enlarge it on your phone. Look at the eyelashes, eyebrows. Look at the black marker retouch and right side of his face. We never saw the shooter.
And, you know, I remember hearing that and seeing that comparison way back in the beginning of this. That it already suggested that that photo from the Hostel was altered and was not him. So who knows?
Rabbi, is that Rabbi? Hashida?
No,
I don't know what that's. Whoever you are, thank you for the $10 Aussie.
Rabbi Siadawi.
Maybe that's the creator of Upscrolled. Maybe that's his.
Oh, wouldn't that be cool? Are you the Aussie Palestinian terrorist? Maybe. Are you the Aussie Palestinian terrorist?
Thank you, terrorist. We would gladly accept your 10 Aussie dollars. Thank you. Tony D, member for 25 months. Always a pleasure, friend. Jen, thanks for the documentary ACAB free.
Yes. Do you know what ACAB is, Peter?
They're all cops and bastards. I am well aware. I don't agree, but I understand.
Well, we don't have to agree. But yes, abolition now.
Smash that like button, share and subscribe, and do all those things that we ask you to do. It was a slow start, but a strong finish. We've got Eric Warsaw, big social media platform guy, to come. He's
great.
Talk. He does great work. So we will be speaking with him on Thursday. Smash it, like it, share it, do all those things we ask you to do. We love you all. We appreciate you all. We'll see you Thursday.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine. Good night, guys.